Kakadosh Boker or Masechet Bava Metzia Daf Tzadik Daled Amud Aleph 94a1. We are started from the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Matne Shomer Chinam Liot Patur Mishevuah. Liot, right? So basically, the Shomer Chinam is able to come and make a tenai, a condition, with the person that's giving him the collateral or the deposit, that he's going to become patur from a shivua, which means that's it. So he's going to be even ne'eman. He's going to be believed that there was a pshia, that there was how do you call this? Any type of onus or anything that happened, force majeure, anything that happened, even without an oath. Usually the shomer chinam has to make an oath that he wasn't negligent. Here he can make a condition. You want to leave it by me, by all means, right? Be my guest, but I don't make you shavuot. I don't make you shavuot. He's allowed to do that. The shoel can come. He could come and he can make a condition. Right? That what? That if it's going to become honest of gneva v'aveda, stealing or getting lost, it's going to also become patur. Yeah, also. Also the shomer sachar and the socher, they also can become patur, whether it's from the shivua or from paying, which means that basically these people are allowed to come and make a condition changing the status quo of their general function. Meaning, when you are a shomer chinam, automatically, it's true. You're a shomer chinam, you're an unpaid custodian, which means that you're going to become patur if it gets lost, stolen, but you have to swear. Why? Maybe you're negligent. And if you're negligent, you're chayav. So here what he says is you could change the status quo. How do you change the status quo? Says the Mishnah. Thank you, Richard. I hope you weren't cheating, right? Kol hamatne al ma shekatuv batorah. If you're going to come and you're going to make a condition to be batel, something which is written in the Torah, tina'o batel, right? Then the t'nai is going to be batel. The maaseh that you did was kayam, even if it wasn't kayam t'nai. V'chol t'nai, right? Sheyesh maaseh b'tchilato. Any condition that you have a maaseh at the beginning. So, for example, you come and you say, this is given to you as a present if I'm going to go to a certain place. And then he went and he made a kinyan, but he didn't go. So, t'nao batel. It's going to be the t'nai's batel. And then the halacha shlishit is any condition which you could come and you could fulfill the condition at the end, after the kinyan. The t'nai imo mitchilaton, you made a t'nai at the beginning. T'nao kayam. The t'nai is going to be kayam. So now 1 minute, right? Before we get to Richard's question, but that's going to be the Gemara is going to ask that question. First of all, we said we had as if to say two different parts of the Mishnah. The first part of the Mishnah was basically just saying that even though usually shomer chinam, the shoel, shomer sachar, and a socher, they have certain halachot, you can make a condition, and basically you're going to exempt yourself from those obligations, whichever one. Obviously, each one according to their obligation. Then we brought into three different halachot to do with the entire concept of making conditions against the Torah. So we said, if it's going to be matnei mashketu Torah, it's batel. If it's going to be a t'nai that has a maaseh at the beginning, so then the t'nai is batel. Okay, and then he says, and if you could be mekayem at the end, so therefore the t'nai is going to be kayam. So now the Gemara is going to ask what Richard said. 1 second, right? Amai. How could it be, right? You're going to come and you're going to exempt yourself, let's say from a shivua. Yeah, you're a shomer chinam. Let's start from the first one. It's the easiest one. Shomer chinam. Yeah, you're an unpaid custodian. You have to usually swear, right? That what? That there was no negligence involved. You come, you made a condition that you don't want to do that. How does that work? You're being matnei mashketu Torah. The chol matnei mashketu Torah. That's now batel. So answers the Gemara. Hamani, who is this? Who's the author of our Mishnah? Rabbi Yudahi. It's Rabbi Yudah. The Amar that he wants to say, Bedavar shebemamon, t'nao kayam. Anything to do with monetary concepts, your t'nai is going to be chal. Why? Because basically, to do with money, you could be mochel. So therefore, the same thing with this t'nai, which means since you already knew about this t'nai at the beginning and you accepted it, you're mochel. If you're mochel, come on. What is the Torah? Yes, exactly, Richard. Right? What does that mean? That means here, right? You knew about it. It's not like I came with you with that. I was up front. I come and I tell you, by the way, I'm not going to, you have to accept it that way. And he accepted it. So that's it. Yeah, the version of Mon, he's mochel. There's nothing more to talk about. The Tanya, how do we know this? How many isha? A person comes and he tells a woman, Hadea mekudeshet li, al menat shenli chalai, she'er kesut ve'ona. Imagine a guy, he's a smart aleck. He goes to a woman and he tells her, you're going to be married to me, but on one condition. Huh? Richard, you're on fire today. Yeah. He says, right? He says, on one condition. You know what the condition is? I don't have to give you share v'kesut ve'ona. Remember that a man's obligation, minha Torah, to his wife is she'er kesut ve'ona. There's another 7 obligations that we have that's based upon the ketubah, right? And some of them are not even written in the ketubah, but it's the rules that come out of the ketubah, right? But the ketubah in itself is one of the other 7. But basically, 3 are mina Torah. What are the 3 biblical laws that you're obligated to your wife? Relations, right?
Redeeming her.
Food. No. That's the Rabbanan. Right? Exactly. Relations, food, clothing. She'er, kesut ve'ona. Right? That's what it is. So therefore, the other ones, you're right. Redeeming her, healing her, burying her, giving her the ketubah, right? That her children could eat, that she could eat in the house until she gets married to somebody else, as long as she's still a widow. All these other 7 conditions, well, those are all the Rabbanan. Those come from the rabbis. But the 3 mideoraita are she'er kesut ve'ona. So imagine a guy comes to a woman. He says, on this condition, he doesn't have to give her nothing. Nothing. Doesn't have to give her anything. He's going to be married to her, but tnai batel. The tnai is going to be batel. Why? So these words are mean. Why? If the Bible came and told you that you're obligated to give to the woman, who do you think you are that you could come and uproot something which is written in the Torah? Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, no, tnai kayam. What does that mean? Only to do with the kesut, the she'en and the kesut, you're patur. Ona, no, because ona is not money. Ona, relations, is not money. So you cannot come and how do you call this, right? And you cannot uproot that, but you could uproot anything to do with the money. So therefore, since the she'er kesut, which is basically the food and clothing, is money, you could uproot that. So says the Gemara, one second. Are you going to tell me that the Reisha of our Mishnah is a Yehuda? He says, Seifa. Let's see the Seifa. I don't understand you. 2 seconds after we brought down the Reisha, what was the Reisha? The Reisha was to do with Shomer Chinam, that he comes and exempts himself from a Shavua. From a Shoel, he's going to exempt himself. Shomer Sachar, he's going to exempt himself. Then what do we say? The next part of the Mishnah. What was the next part of the Mishnah? If you're going to be Matneh, Tuna Batel. Why? We just said according to Rabbi Yehuda that it's going to be okay. Yeah? So answers the Gemara. So it cannot be that the Reisha of the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda and the Seifa of the Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. So says the Gemara, halakashia. It's not a question. Yeah, but it's dochak usually. Meaning lichatchila, we try not to do it, that it's 2 different authors of the Mishnah. Okay? So the Gemara answers, halakashia. It's not a question. Why? He says, leolam Rabbi Yehuda. Really, be'emet, it is Rabbi Yehuda. But what? He comes and he says, the seifa is b'davar she'eno shel mamon. Meaning the seifa, when it says that if you're going to be matnei mashkudu b'torah tnai batel, we're not talking about money. We're talking about, like, for example, the onaz we mentioned before. And therefore, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's tnai batel. Meaning he's just making ukimta. You know what ukimta is? Ukimta means that I'm coming and I'm placing that part of the Mishnah is only speaking about a certain case. Meaning it's not in general, broad for everything, in a specific case. So we're not talking about money. Because if it was talking about money, according to Rabbi Yehuda, yes, it is tnai kayam. It's not tnai batel. The tnai is 100% fulfilled.
I agree.
So says the Gemara, right? Let's see the Seifa. The Seifa says, Kol tnai sheyesh bo maaseh betchilato tnai batel. We said in the Seifa of the Mishnah, any condition that has a maaseh at the beginning, which means, right, that you have the kinyan before the tnai, and you make a form of acquisition before the condition, tnai batel.
Give me an example.
I think we're going to see now. Okay. He says, Man shama le di'ile haisara. Who's the one that holds the svara? It's a binin. The Tanya was learned in the Braita. Abba chalafta yishkoyach alin yamam mishum binin. Right? If somebody's going to come and mention the tnai before the maaseh, it's a tnai. And the kinyan is not going to be chal unless you're going to be Mekayim the Tanai. And however, though, if it's the Maaseh before the Tanai, it's not going to be a Tanai. So therefore, right, what's going on? So I'll give you the example. Here in the footnote, he brings down, and Bachalafta says, he says, that obviously the other people that argue on him, so he says like this, he says, Rabbi Meir is the one that says that you need to fight Tanai Kaful. You remember Tanai Kaful means a double condition, right? Just like, exactly, Richard, that's exactly what's written in the footnote, right? The Tanai B'nei that if they're going to go by, so then this, and if they're not going to go by, then this. Obviously, Rabbi Yehuda argues that you don't need that. So it comes out that you don't need the Tanai to be said in such a fashion, okay? But you do need that to be Magdim the Tanai to the Maaseh. That they learned from Moshe Rabbeinu. So where's that? In footnote number 8, you have it. All Tanai, which is not like a Tanai of Bnei Gad and Reuven, is not considered a Tanai. Because from there we learned about all the Tanaim. Now he says over here, you have to do it in the same way that's written over there. What does that mean? It says, Yaakov Avinu comes and he makes a condition with the Lavan. Im ta'aseli et hadavar hazeh, if you're going to do this for me, ashuva eretz onecha v'shmor, I will come and I will watch your sheep again. So did you realize he didn't say the conditions until later on? Meaning he did it afterwards, which means nevertheless, since he brought down the concept of the conditions, right, before the Maseh, Im ta'aseli et hadavar hazeh, right? So therefore it's considered the Tanai kodem leMaaseh. Okay? So one more time. He comes and he says, Im ta'aseli et hadavar hazeh, if you're going to do for me this, I'm going to come and I'm going to watch over your sheep. Now again, he did not mention what was the conditions, right? He just mentioned that there is going to be a condition. And he mentioned the conditions before, right? Im ta'aseli et hadavar hazeh, that I'm going to explain to you. So therefore it's considered the Tanai kodem leMaaseh. Okay? So says the Gemara, Ela kula Rabbi Meir, but the entire thing was Rabbi Meir. So really, by we're going to change that the entire Mishnah is not Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi Meir. The Shane Hachan, it's different over here to do with Shomrim. The Mikara lo shabed nafsheh, because from the beginning he was not mishabed himself, and therefore it's not considered that he's uprooting something which is written in the Torah. Okay, which means that from the beginning he didn't do that. So therefore it cannot be chal on it, which means like this. Basically what's happening is the shomer did not obligate himself lechatchila to that. So therefore he's just saying, I don't want to work for you for under these conditions. And the shomer is not going to be mitchayev in such a thing. And then he comes and he does a meshicha. That kinyan meshicha will not obligate on that. It's not compared to the woman when he's getting married to her, right? That shelo yeh alav shek zubona, because the second that he comes and he gets married to her, automatically the Torah obligates these things, and therefore he cannot come and get out of it. Which means like this. Basically, what we're trying to say is something very, very interesting. When you come, right, and you're a shomer, and you say, you know what, I'll take this to Israel for you, but under no, meaning I'm not obligated in anything. Yeah, not even for nothing.
First of all,
right?
you need to flip.
Nothing. Huh? So what happens? Right? So what happens? So he comes and he says, yeah, no problem. You don't have to flip. That's by conditions. It's not a condition. Right? No. Right? One more time. You want to give me something, I'm going to take it to Israel. I come and I say, listen, Richard, I'll take it for you on one condition. What's the condition? I'm not obligated in anything that ever happens to it. Completely. Patur from a code. I'm completely exempt. So for what happens? And then I come and you give it to me and I make a meshicha. I came and I made a kinyan, and now I'm in charge of it. When I do that, I'm not obligated in anything. Because since already I didn't subjugate myself to look over with all those rules, that's what I accepted. And therefore I'm going to be chayav. To do with a man getting married to a woman, he's not obligated to her anything until he does the Maaseh Kiddushin. Until she comes and he puts the ring on her finger. When he puts the ring on her finger, automatically he's already chayav in the Sher Kisut V'Ona. And therefore, since he's automatically chayav the Sher Kisut V'Ona, he cannot come and get out of that. By the Shomrim, you could get out of it beforehand, because even before the Kinyan, before the Meshicha that I'm doing, I already say I'm not subjugating myself for that. So I could get out of it. I could rise above it and say, I'm not doing that. By the Kiddushin, it's at the same time. So you can't get out of it, right, without being obligated in it. That's what he comes and he says, the difference beforehand. Nothing to do with it tonight.
No, like that.
Tana. So we learned in the Braita. Umatne shomer sachar liot keshoel. So the shomer sachar could become like a shoel, right? What does that mean? Right? That he's going to be mechayev also in onsin. B'mai. What does that mean? How is he going to come and obligate himself with an extra shmirah? So he says b'dvarim. Even with dvarim, right? Dvarim is already enough. He says, what? Dibur is not enough. Imagine right now, I'm a shomer sachar. Remember, a shomer sachar is only chayav on gneva v'aveda, right? If it gets lost or stolen. All of a sudden, I come and I say, even though I'm paying, you're paying me to watch over it, I'm going to become like a borrower. A borrower is also chayav in onis. Onis is any type of force majeure. I'm still chayav. So imagine I come and I tell you, Richard, even though you're paying me, I'm not going to be like a regular shomer sachar, a paid custodian. I'm going to come and I'm going to make sure that I'm watching over it like a shoel, like a borrower. Now a borrower, even I'm going to be responsible. Now they're going to ask, how do I do that? How do I obligate myself at an extra shemirah? So he comes and he says, with words, he says, words is nothing. Right? Nothing. Amar Shmuel, says Shmuel, yeah, Beshekanu miyado. He made a kinyan. Rabbi Yochanan says, not even if you didn't make a kinyan. Be'ahi ana'a tekanafik lekala dinish mehem nahu kamiru mishabe nafshe. From the fact that he has a na'ah, there's a benefit. You know what the benefit is? The fact that there's a benefit that the guy that's mafkid is going to be somech alav, right? And it's going to come out that this guy is a trustworthy person. That's already enough to be mechayev at small, to be right, and to be mechayev extra things. Meaning like this. Usually there has to be some type of form of acquisition in order for things to transpire. Here he comes and he says there is it. You know what it is? This guy, which is a shomer sachar, right, the paid custodian, he's having a benefit. Everyone finds out that I came, right, or that the doctor came and he gave him something to watch over. So what happens? Truth. Right? He's not going to give it to anybody. So therefore, when he comes and he gives it, right, say he gives it to Ronen, right? So what happens? And he's like, wow, I'm a good guy. What's the proof? Right? What's the proof? Because if the doctor gave it to him, he's a trustworthy guy. Yeah? So, yeah? Yeah? So what happens now? So what happens now is that all of a sudden, right, he comes and he says like this. He says, in that hana'ah that he's benefiting, that now he's a good guy, he's mechayev himself. He obligates himself to an extra shemirah, to an extra protection. And that he's allowed to do. You understand? It's nothing to do that they actually made a kinyan or even words, but words doesn't work. Kinyan for sure works, but that's for sure. Here we're talking about in the hana'ah that now he's a good guy, a trustworthy person. And now David will give to him, Richard will give to him, everybody will give to him. Why?
Right.
Yeah.
The benefit of gratitude, where you get
Exactly. Yes. In the hana'ah that you get. Okay.
Raise the price.
The same halacha applies if you remember in Kiddushin, when a very important person gives her, or she gives a present to a very important person. In the na'ah that he accepts the present, right. That in itself is ki'ilu that right. He gave to her instead of she giving to him. You understand? Something very, very simple. Fine. Says the Mishnah. Anytime that you could fulfill the condition at the end. So Amar of Tavla Amar Rav. Says Rav Tavla Amar Rav. So these are the words of Yehuda ben Tema. Chachamim say, even though you cannot fulfill it at the end, it is going to be a good Tanai. Okay, so there's a difference between Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. The Tanya, we learned in a Braita. Listen to this. It's a good one. A guy comes, he wants to, cause his wife a little bit of suffering. So he comes and he says, you know what, here's your get, right? On condition that you go up to the Shamayim. Yeah? So go on the next space, what's it called? The Musk? Space Lab, SpaceX, or I don't know what, or all these things. Go up there, right? Go up, yeah. So he says, or Almanat sheterdi letehom. Go all the way down to the tehom. Or Almanat shetivli kaneh shel me'ama. You have to come and you have to swallow a reed of 100 amot, right? Or Almanat shetavli et hayam gadol b'raglayich. Or you have to walk over the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah? Says the Gemara, nitkayem tonight, and is a get. If she fulfills the condition, it's a good get. It's not going to be a get. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema omer, kazeh get. It is a get. Yeah, like this is a get. So one second. So therefore, so he comes.
What he's saying is that it's so ridiculous that it's as though he didn't give any stipulation.
Exactly. That's the shita of Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. So klal amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Says Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Kol shi yeshal lo lekamos v'yitzram mitirato. Eno kama friga. Right? It's just stam. He's just stam. He's being maknitota, but it's going to be kasher. Meaning, even though you were not mekayem the tanai, it's going to be kosher. So Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rav Lachak Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Amar Nachman Amar Yitzchak matnin min daika dektani kol sheshal lo kayam v'yitzram mitirato tanai kayam. Hechal lo kayam torah batel shema mina. So that's how we pass by the way. If a person actually comes and he says that to his wife, it's kosher get. Yeah. Why? Because Stami was trying to, but it's not a good tonight. And therefore, Adran Lach hasocher et hapoalim. Hakadosh Boker or we're on to the Dalet Mudalef from the bottom. The last two lines, we're starting the new chapter, the new Perek Shmini, the 8th chapter. Mishnah. Hashoel et hapara v'sha'al be'alea ima. Imagine right now you borrow a para, and the bala para was there together with it to do melacha. Right? This is the concept of be'alav imo. Or sacharet be'alea ima. Or you got the owner of the para, right? Which means you borrowed the para and you rented the owner of the para to do with it. Melacha. Sha'ala be'alim o scharan, right? Or you borrowed the be'alim or the sachar, which is the wages, to do the melacha. And then afterwards, shalet para, you borrowed the para, v'met, and it died. Patur, you're going to be patur. Shneimar, in be'alav imo, yishalem. What does that mean? If the be'alim of the animal are with it, so you don't have to pay. So the general rule is as long as the bala pera is mishu'abad, is subjugated from melacha, right, to the shuel, to the borrower during the time of the loan, right? Whether it's going to be that he was borrowed with him, he was rented with him, or all the other cases also, right? Even beforehand, he's going to be patur. But it doesn't matter. Yes. No, but even if it happened before, meaning let's say I rented him out, or I borrowed him before even borrowing his animal, the same halacha. Okay? So it's going to be patur from tashumin. Aval, Tzadik Daled Mubet, 94b, says the Mishnah Aval, Shalet para, if you've borrowed the animal, and then afterwards Shalet Balim Yischaram V'meta. Chayav, you're going to be chayav. Shneimar be'alav anymore, shalem yishalem. You have to pay. Okay, so that's a Mishnah. What is for both?
The animal and the
Nothing happened to the owner. It was only the animal died. What?
So the animal died while he was.
So says the Gemara Tzadik Daled Mubed 94b the Gemara. Midiktani Seifa. Since in the Seifa of the Mishnah we learned, the latter part of the Mishnah we learned ve'achar kach shalet hapara. Yeah, and he says Miklal the Reisha Diktani. So here we're talking about right shalet ba'alim to scharan, and then afterwards shalet para. So the truth is it's not the latter part. It's like the middle part. One more time. Go back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah said hashoelet para v'shal ba'alei ima. So that's at the same time, right? Or sachar ba'alei ima, right? Then it says shalet ba'alim o scharan ve'achar kach et para. Okay, so those are two different cases there. One more time. The first case in the Reisha, we're in the first case because I'm calling the Reisha when you're going to be patur, and we're calling the Seifa when you're going to be chayav. Okay, now in the Reisha in itself, that you're patur, there's also two cases. There's that you borrowed the para and the owners with him, whether it was that you borrowed him or you paid him, or right, you first borrowed or paid the owners, right, and then you borrowed the para. Okay, that was in the Reisha. Exactly, vice versa. Okay. Yes, both cases you're going to be patur. So says the Gemara, Miliktani Seifa, since we learned in Seifa, and that first you got the owners, and then afterwards you got the para, Mikal the Reisha Diktani Ima Mamash. It's mashma that is going at the same time. Ima Mamash Mishkachala. What? Okay, how do you do both of them at the same time? Why? Right? He says when you borrow the para, it's only with Meshicha. Ubealim is Ba'amira. Right? So therefore, he comes and he says that you could do it. Why? He comes and he says, right? Can you do it at the same time? He says, one second, the para is done with Mashicha, and the Be'alim, right, is with Ba'amira. So immediately the second that he comes and he says, right, Ani uparati are borrowed, lent to you, right, he becomes borrowed. So therefore, automatically it's always going to be Ba'alim, and then afterwards the para. It can never. What's the case where you have, right? That the one more time. The para is with Mashicha. Everyone knows Mashicha is dragging towards you. That's called Mashicha. You're pulling towards you. What? Yeah, you're pushing it towards you. The human being is just was saying. So he comes and he says, so therefore you're always going to have that the human being is going to be first. So says the Gemara, if you want, you can answer. The para is already in the chatzer of the borrower, and therefore it's not lacking any type of meshicha whatsoever. Okay, so therefore that's why. So therefore, even the second that he comes and he says it, it's chal already in the same time. Yeah, another way, he comes and he says, Ibaitema, Elmaleh, that he tells him, At ufach lo tishael achat meshichat paratecha. You, your body will not be acquired to me, as if to say to work, until we actually do the meshicha. Meaning, even though you're right, he could just do it with his mouth. He could just with his mouth, just come it. It doesn't work. Why? He tells him, until you're, meaning your body is not going to be borrowed to me until the meshicha of the animal. Okay? Tzanan hatam. We learned also in the Mishnah, we said, right, that there's going to be arba shomrim him. There's going to be 4 different shomrim. You have shomer chinam, shoel, sachar, socher. Okay, so you have the shomer chinam, you have the shoel, you have the shomer sachar, and you have the socher. 4 different watchmen. Okay? Shomer chinam nishba ala kol. So we already said that shomer chinam has to swear on everything. Hashoel has to pay for everything, even on honest. The noseh sachar and socher, they're going to swear, right? Ala shivura ala shivuya al meta, right? Which means that on something that broke, or something that got into captivity, right? Or somebody that the animal died. They have to swear on those things. But they have to pay for aveda vegneva. Says the Gemara, menana mile. Yeah, how do we know this? The Tanu Rabbanan, right? Tanu Rabbanan, right? Because we're going to, right, learn in the Braita. Parasha Rishona, when we're talking about the first parasha, is Ne'emra b'Shomer Chinam. It's talking about a Shomer Chinam. Shniya, the second one, right, that he's going to be chayav on Gneva, and Patur and Onus is Shomer Sachar. The Shlishit is talking about the Shoel. So let me tell you the psukim so you understand what's going on. The pasuk says, Ki iten ish reu chamor o shor oseh v'chol be'em al ishmon. When a person is going to give to his friend, right, we're talking about a donkey, ox, or sheep, or any animal to watch over, umet o nishba, or it dies, it breaks, or it gets into captivity. Again, these are all just different.
I thought the first concept is money or vessels.
1 minute. Shivuat Hashem is going to be between them, right? Velo yishalem. Okay. Then it says v'im gano v'ganev v'imo yishalem ilvalav. Right. So that means this is the concept of, right, the last case where Shomer Sachar is going to be nishbain ala shivura ala shivuya ala meta, and he's going to be paying for it. Now these 2 parashiot, they didn't explain which type of shmarim, which type of shomrim we're talking about. So the first one, that you're going to be shomer, that you're going to be nishba on a chefetz that gets stolen, and you're going to be patur. The second one, right, you're going to be chayav to pay, because it says v'im gano v'ganev v'imo yishalem livalav, you have to pay for it. So the Tana answers, and he says, no. The first parasha is a shomer chinam. So that's why he has to swear that it was stolen, and then he becomes patur. The second one is a shomer sachar, so if he's going to be chayav. Okay, and that's the way that they're learning the pasuk. Okay, until here we're clear? No. Well, if you want to say it's ukimta, we're explaining the pasuk. Yeah, we're explaining the pasuk. The pasuk is talking about a shomer chinam and then a shomer sachar. The third one is going to be a shoel. So let's see. Says the Gemara, Bishlama shlishit beshoel. I understand that the third pasuk is talking about a shoel, which is a borrower. It's mifurash. It says in the Torah. The third pasuk is v'chiyishal ish mimre'ehu. If you're going to borrow from your friend, nishbar met, right, and it breaks or it dies, be'alav v'nimo shalem shalem. If the owners are not with it, you have to pay, right? Rishona, the shomer chinam, and the shniya shomer sachar, epuchana. This is 1 second. The third one, it's written v'chiyishal. Yishal is she'ela, shoel. Makes sense. The first 2, whoever told you that? Maybe it's opposite. So says the Gemara, Nistabra shniya b'shomer sachar sheken chayav v'gneva v'aveda. 1 second. The second pasuk said, "V'im ganov yiganev meimo yishalem lebarav." That if it gets stolen, you have to pay it back. So therefore, it's much more mistaber to say that we're talking about a shomer sachar because he's chayav in gneva v'aveda. So says the Gemara, Adara, but the opposite. Rishona is b'shomer sachar, shekem mishalem tashum kefel, right? B'toen tanat ganav. He's going to pay double when he's going to be toen tanat ganav. What does that mean? If right now he comes and he says that it was stolen, and he swears, and then afterwards they come and they say, no, it was by him. So now it comes out that he himself stole it, and he swore falsely. He's obligated to pay back kefel. So it comes out, each one of them has a kula and a chumra. In the first parasha, you have that the shomer is not chayav, right, if it gets stolen. But you have, what? It just says, the shomer is not chayav if it gets stolen, right? It doesn't say which one. It never said which one. Just the third one said which one. But there's the chumra. What's the chumra? That if he finds that he himself stole it, he has to pay kefil. And the opposite is by the second one, right? And therefore, we cannot come and say which parasha is which. That's what we're trying to say. So says the Gemara, Firuach is still karna belo shavua adifa mikfeila b'shvua. It's still better to say that if right now the shomer is going to say that it was stolen, he's chayav l'shalem et keren without shavua. That's better than what to say that he's going to pay the kefel with a shavua, which means it's more chamur, the chiyuv of the first parasha, that it says that if you're going to swear falsely, you have to pay kefel, because now you're going to be patur even from the keren in a case that you were not swearing falsely. Exactly. So therefore, that's what he's saying. So it's much more mistaber to say that the second one is talking about a shomer sachar, and the first one is a shomer chinam. Teida, how do I bring a proof to this? The shoel is a borrower. Kol hana'ah shelo. Everything that you do, it's your benefit. You're gaining from it. So you only pay the keren, right? That means if he's going to come and he's going to say that it was stolen, he only pays the keren, and he's not going to pay the kefel, the double. Okay, and the Torah did not come and say that he's going to exempt the obligate him only just to make sure if he's going to come and if he's going to swear. Okay. So it comes out that the tashlume keren is much more strict than the tashlume kefel. So says the Gemara, right? Vashoel kolana shelo. Are you going to tell me that the shoel, everything he benefits? Says the animal needs to eat, and the shoel has to give him to eat. So therefore, since the borrower is giving to eat to the animal, so therefore the owner is also benefiting. It's not only just the borrower that's benefiting. So answers the Gemara, the kaima ba'agam. The para is in an agam. Agam is like a swamp area. Okay, so therefore, since it's over there, it gets from efker the food. So therefore, it's 100% netto, the gain of the borrower. The owner does not gain a single thing. So says the Gemara, if it's nagam, you have to watch over it. And says the Gemara, benatar mata. We're talking about that there's a city, right? We learned this yesterday or the day before yesterday, remember? Natar mata, shomrei ha'ir. The shomrei ha'ir are watching over the city. So therefore they know, right, that they're not going to come and they're not going to be able to steal it or take it or all these things because they have to. So says the Gemara, by tema for you, and you can answer another answer. Lo tema, don't say all the hana is shelo. You can say rov hana shelo, majority of it. Why a majority of it? Because okay, you have to give it to eat, but other than giving it to eat, you are 100% benefiting from this animal. By tema for you, you can answer another answer. Bishelat kelim. Right? I don't remember who mentioned kelim at the beginning. Right, about the utensils. We're not talking about an animal. So therefore, he comes and he says, right, we're talking about over here that the chumrav tashlume keren, right, is more chamur than in talking about that somebody that borrows kelim from his friend and got lost or stolen. That he has to pay from the keren and he's going to be patur from the kefel if he even stole it himself. And even though there's no hotzaot, you don't have to spend anything on the kelim, right? Meaning an animal, you have to give it to eat. A utensil, you don't have to do anything. Right? You have to give to eat, I don't know what, the phone, I don't know, you know. It's a utensil. You don't have to do anything with it. And still, that's what we're saying. Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara, Nose sachar socher nishbain ala shivura, ala shivuya ala meta, umeshalmim et ha'aveda v'et ha'gneva. What did we just say? We said that a shomer sachar and the socher, they are going to swear that if it broke, meaning that one of the limbs break, or if it gets taken into captivity, or if it dies, right? He's going to come and he's going to swear that that's what happened. And he has to pay for Aveda and Geneva. Okay? So says the Gemara, Bishlema Geneva. I understand Geneva, it says it in the Pasuk. Dichtiv, it says in the Pasuk, Yigano v'yigane mimo, yishalem libalav. Aveda minalam. How do you know that if it gets lost, you have to actually come and you have to pay it? I understand Geneva. It's written. Katuv b'Torah. How do you know about Aveda? Right, that's the question. So says the Gemara, the Tanya was learned in the Braita, Im gano v'ganev, enli ela geneva, Aveda minaim, Tamolomar v'im gano v'ganev, the double expression of gano v'ganev that is going to be stolen, that double expression comes to teach you, mikol makom, in any case. In any case. Meaning in any case that it's not going to be in his hands, doesn't matter whether it was stolen from his hands, or...
Stolen, stolen. Stolen twice.
Yes, that's a double expression of stolen. That's what I said. Okay. Double expression of stolen. Im ganovi ganev. So therefore, in any way that it's not going to be in your hands, doesn't matter whether it's going to be stolen or whether it's going to be lost, right? You're gonna be chayav. Why? Because it's not in your hands. And since they use the double expression, why it's not in your hands, that's how we know that it includes aveda as well. So says the Gemara, that's good according to the Mandamar that the Torah does not speak like human beings. Why? Because if you're going to tell me that the Torah does not speak like human beings, you could learn out from the double expression, you could learn something else. But according to the Mandamar, that we do say that the Torah speaks like human beings. That sometimes human beings come and they'll just double up the language and they'll say it twice. So to the Torah. So what are you going to say then? Meaning you cannot bring a proof from the Imgano Viganet. Remember, in English they would say you shall surely. Right, So remember, my rabbi always used to tell me, "There's no Shirley here. She's not here. There's Shirley." Right, but he used to come and say, "You shall surely." Never was use the double expression. No, what are you gonna say? So Amri b'Marava, they said in Eretz Israel, they said it's a kal v'chomer. Uma geneva shehi krova leones meshalem, avoda shehi krova lepshia lo kol sheken. He says, 1 second. Geneva is almost like an ones. Ones means force majeure. So stealing is almost like a force majeure, and you're still obligated to pay.
Is this burglary or robbery?
Ganav. Ganav is the one that's hidden. Which one's that? Burglary. Okay, burglary.
Or what?
Or robbery. Robbery is in front of his face. Yeah?
That's daylight.
Yeah. So he says, Mishalem Aveda, which is going to be Karov Lepshia, which is very close to negligence, right? Because you lost it. Losing it is almost negligence. So Koshken, you should pay for it. Meaning, if the Torah already obligated you on Geneva, and that's almost like an ones, Kal v'chomer, that you should be chayav if it's almost like a pshia, which is like losing it, which is almost like negligence. So says the Gemara of the Idach, and the other one, that he doesn't say, Lo amrinan, he says, Min tadatya b'kal v'chomer, tarach, right? He says, right, v'katav lakra. Something which you could learn from a kal v'chomer, still many times we'll try to bring it from a pasuk. Yeah, that means even though you could learn it from a kal v'chomer, many times we'll still try to bring it from a pasuk, that it's going to be that we can learn it from an extra part of the pasuk. Says the Gemara, "V'ashoel meshalem et hakol." We just said that a borrower pays for everything. Bishlema shevura, I understand that if it's going to be broken, umeta or dies, the Ichtibus says the pasuk, "V'chishal yishmim reu, v'nishbar omet." Ela shevuya b'shoel minalam. Did you realize that beforehand, when the pasuk was speaking, the pasuk said, "Ki yiten ejena umet o nishbar o nishba." It said all three. It dies, it broke, or it was taken into captivity, which means it was like stolen, right? Here, it only says two. So the Gemara is asking, 1 second, I understand Shavura Umeta, it's written in the Pasuk, but it says, Benishbar Omet, Shivuya, where's it written? Shivuya by a Shoel. How do we know? The Chitim, and if you're going to tell me, Nela Shvura Umeta, okay, learn it from Shvura Umeta. Says, Man Shvura Umeta, Sheken Onsa de Salikadeto. It's something that could come onto your mind. He says, so usually it's not, meaning many times an animal could die, right? Or something could break. It could fall, break, this, that. But to be taken into captivity, it's a little bit less. So he said, right? But whoever said that. So he says, it's an honest that comes up to your mind or not. Ela, but rather, ne'emra shevura umeta b'shoel, and ne'emra shevura umeta b'shomer sachar. It says shevura umeta by the shoel and the shomer sachar. Just like over there, the Shavuya is written by it, So to here, the shivuya is going to be with it as well. Here he wants to call it the binyanav. That means just like by the shomer sachar, there's no difference between the different onsim, and he's going to be patur whether it's shivura or meta or shivuya. So to here, there's no difference in the onsim, and it's going to be the same halachot, even though it's not written by it. We're learning it by binyanav. Okay? So it says the Gemara, so fine. So ikal mifrach, you could ask, Mala shomer sachar, shekel liftur tomar b'shoel, shekel lechiyuv. He says, I don't understand you. By the shomer sachar, when the Torah mentions it, it's to make him exempt. Meaning a shomer sachar, it's going to become exempt if right now, if it's shvura or meta. You can't say that by a shoel that it's going to be chayav. So how are you learning it from a binyanav? What was a binyanav? Since it says all three in one, and it says two in the other, but it says two here and two here, just like over there, it added the third one and there's no difference. So to here, it added the third one, there's no difference. He says, 1 second, by one of them, it's to make you exempt. By one of them, it's to make you chayav. So how do I put them both together? I can't do that. You understand? If they were both exempt, we said the shomer sachar was to make you patur. The shoel is to make you chayav. Okay? So says the Gemara, yeah, Ela barather, Rabbi Natan. It's like Rabbi Natan. Titania was learned to write that Rabbi Natan says, O is lerabot. Meaning it says in the pasuk when you're going to borrow, right? V'nishbar o met. And it breaks or it dies. That word o comes to include shivuya. And therefore you're going to be chayav to pay. So says the Gemara, Hai o, lechalek. He says, 1 second, that word o comes to differentiate, right? Between the shivura of ones and meta. But I would have thought to say that it doesn't break its organs plus die. Kamashmalan, it's separate. Meaning, I would have thought to say that you need both. So many times the word o comes to teach you that it's one or the other, not one and another. So therefore, it's coming to teach you something. So says the Gemara, Hai o mibayle lechalek tesaka ad mitbra ometa lo mechayev kamashmalan, that it's not true. So says the Gemara, Hanichal Rabbi Yonatan. This is going to be good according to Rabbi Yonatan, but according to Rabbi Yoshia, what are you going to say then? According to Rabbi Yoshia, so the Tanya, as we learned in a Braita, listen to this. The Braita says, Ish asher yikalel et aviv ve'et imo. A person that's going to come and he's going to curse his father or his mother. En li ela el aviv, right? Ve'imo. Aviv belo imo, imo belo aviv menayin. There in the pasuk, I could have learned it that when a person is going to curse his father and his mother, maybe it's both. Meaning, what happens if a person only curses the father and not the mother, or the mother and not the father? How do you know you're going to be chayav? So he says, Talmud Lomar comes to teach you, Aviv ve'imo kilel damav bo. Meaning, for the fact that the pasuk was extra, that again it says, Aviv ve'imo kilel, so it's an extra, right? So therefore he comes and he says, from the fact that it says yikalel, ish asher yikalel et aviv ve'imo, Aviv kilel, he's going to be chayav mitah. Right? Ve'imo kilel, so therefore we learn it, imo kilel, and it says it by itself. Meaning we're splitting it up from the fact that there's extra words in the pasuk. Right? I'll read to you the pasuk. The pasuk says, Ki ish asher yikalel et aviv et imo mot yumat. Yeah? So that's one pasuk. Everyone heard? No. Oh, one more time. Ish asher yikalel et aviv et imo mot yumat. He's going to die. Now, there's another pasuk. The pasuk says, Aviv ve'imo kilel damav bo. It's in the same pasuk. One more time. Look, everyone has the Torah or. You have the pasuk there. The Torah or is on the side of the Gemara. On the side of the Gemara, it says Torah or Shalom. It brings you the entire pasuk. So it's on the daf. Outside of the daf. It's on the. In mine, it's on the left side. You have Mesoret Shas and then Aleph Bet Gimel. You have the Mesoret Shas and then what? No, there's Aleph, Bet, and
Yeah,
Gimel,
no,
but
but
I
it's
only
an
need Gimel.
Aleph v'Gimel.
I don't need Gimel, Aleph.
Okay,
Yeah.
סליחה, על Gimel.
Yeah. So one more time, right? You needed the Aleph for the first pasuk that we mentioned at the top of the page, right? So ki ish asher yekalel et aviv et imo mot yumat, aviv ve'imo kilel. Those words, aviv ve'imo kilel, you just told me when a person is going to come and curse his father and his mother. Now you're right. When it said at the beginning of the pasuk, maybe I could only say that you're going to be chayav if you curse both, but it says a man when he's going to curse his father and his mother, he's going to die. But then it says, Aviv imo kilel. He curses his father and mother. Damavbo, his blood will be on him. Why did I need that extra part?
It shows that one is
So
both.
says the Gemara, one or the other. That's why. It's extra to teach you one or the other. Meaning the father, even though it's not the mother, or the mother and not the father. Meaning you don't need both. Even one, you curse one, you're gonna be chayav. What's for shame? Okay, so Rav Yoshia comes and he says, right, the words of Rav Yoshia, the fact that the first time around he comes and he says, Aviv imo kilel. So he says the first time it says, Ish ishi kalel et aviv. So it's Aviv kilel, because the word klala is close to the father. The second time, imo kilel, the klala is close to the mother. So we're actually learning that it's going to be the mother even without the father. So each one is separate, and you're still going to be chayav mitah. These are the words of Rav Yoshia. Rabbi Yonatan comes and he says, no. Ki ish ish asher kalel et aviv et imo, mashma shnehem keechad. It's mashma both of them together, which that was the pashtut. That's why obviously you had to get umashma, right? And he says it's mashma echad bifnei atzmo, right? Also one, he says by itself as well. He says because the vav has two different. Remember that there's something which is called vav chibur, or he comes and he says, right, uben vav, that it's not, which means sometimes it adds and sometimes it's actually it's meaning it's and or. So that many times they have to find out what is it? Is it and or? So therefore, according to that, what is actually going? So he says, until the pasuk is going to tell you yachdav, meaning that it has to be together. So the fact that the Torah did not tell you yachdav, because it says lo tachrosh b'shor uvachamor. What does it say? Yachdav. You can't. How do you call this? You can't plow with the shor and the chamor. You could have stopped. Lo tachrosh b'shor uvachamor yachdav uvachamor. The vav. But there it says yachdav uvachamor. So there, once it says yachdav, it's teaching you that it has to be together. Because if not, I could have said that really meant it's separate. Shor and the chamor.
So the default is